Now, I do think that the question of is there life elsewhere in the universe is a genuinely interesting question, and one that actually has theological implications. Along with most scientists, I believe the answer to the question, is there life elsewhere in the universe, is probably yes. Although, unlike most scientists, I do have an argument for suggesting that it might be, that life on this planet might be literally unique. I'm a bit out on a limb there. Most scientists think there must be life elsewhere in the universe. How rare actually is life in the universe? What if it is so staggeringly rare that we literally are the only life form in the entire universe? As I said, I don't think that's likely, but we can't rule it out. We have absolutely not got the knowledge, not got the information to rule out the possibility that life on this planet is literally unique. There is no life elsewhere in the universe. It does have an interesting implication. Since the number of available planets is up in the billions of billions, it would follow that if life has arisen only once, the likelihood of arising on any planet is staggeringly low, and therefore, when we on this planet speculate as chemists, more or less has to be chemists, speculate as chemists on how life on this planet might have started, we would have to be looking for a theory of the origin of life so vanishingly improbable as to qualify by the ordinary standards of human judgment as impossible. It obviously wasn't totally impossible, because here we are. We do, as a matter of fact, exist. But if this planet is the only planet that has life, then we are totally wasting our time looking for a good theory, a plausible theory, a likely theory for the origin of life. Because the theory of the origin of life that we would have to be looking for would need to be the kind of theory that we would ordinarily rule out as ludicrous, ridiculous, impossible. In 1950, the great Italian physicist Enrico Fermi was having lunch at Los Alamos with two colleagues from the Manhattan Project, and he suddenly said, "Where is everybody?" And his physicist colleagues knew what he meant. Why have we not been visited by a superior civilization from outer space? Now, the intuitive calculations that Fermi and his colleagues were making when they wondered why we hadn't been visited, those calculations were based on what's called the principle of mediocrity. We used to think that the Earth was the center of the universe. Then we thought the sun was the center of the universe. Then we thought the Milky Way was the entire universe. Now we know, or do we? What do we know? From our point of view, the point of the principle of mediocrity, the point is that we've had our fingers burned before in history whenever we made parochial assumptions based on our immediate surroundings. The principle of mediocrity is the antidote to the temptation to think there's something special about us. We apply the principle of mediocrity to the origin of life, and we conclude that there must be life elsewhere, because why should this planet be so special? But in that case, Fermi wondered, where is everybody? There is a loophole, which is that the origin of life might not be all that improbable, but the origin of technological life, the sort of life that's capable of visiting us, either in person or by radio, that constitutes a larger barrier. I've written down there 4 possible barriers to our being visited from outer space. The first of them is that the origin of life might be very hard to arise. I've already dealt with that. The second one is that technological life might be very hard to arise, to evolve, I should say. The universe may be full of life at a bacterial level of sophistication. That might be an easy thing to happen. Origin of life might be an easy thing to happen. But a subsequent barrier to producing the sort of advanced technology that would be capable of visiting us has not been accomplished. It has been pessimistically suggested that technological life, when it arises, is extremely short-lived because it almost immediately blows itself up. So there could be little winking lights of technology going on and off around the universe. And going off before they have time to start exploring space. Or, fourthly, it could be that technological life is too intelligent to want to bother to visit us. Now, the principle of mediocrity can deal with all those barriers. We can do the same kind of calculation for technological life as we did for life itself. And we can come to an equally paradoxical conclusion. I'm going to refer here to, I think, one of my favorite science fiction books, The Black Cloud by Fred Hoyle. Has anybody read The Black Cloud? Not many, okay, none in fact, okay. Right. Strongly recommended, although the hero is a deeply obnoxious character. You have to just sort of get over that and learn some. It's one of those science fiction books where you really, really learn a lot of science in all sorts of different ways. It's like so much science fiction, it is about our being visited by a superior intelligence from outer space. And if a civilization was technologically advanced enough to visit us, then it would certainly have to be far more advanced than we are. No question about that. We are centuries away from having the technology for interstellar travel. And so if we are visited from elsewhere, the individuals, or whatever they are, whatever they call themselves, who visit us must be hugely superior to us. So superior that if we were ever to meet them, we would be gravely tempted to fall down on our knees and worship them as gods. But they would, of course, not be gods, and this is the important point that I want to leave you with. However godlike they might appear, they would surely obey Arthur C. Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. They would be even more advanced than us, than we are advanced over medieval peasants. And if we were suddenly to fly to the Middle Ages in a Boeing 747 and get out our laptop computers and our cell phones, we would undoubtedly be worshipped as gods. So the same thing would apply if we were to meet a superior technology. But it would not be gods for the very simple reason that this superior civilization, the superior species of life, would have to have evolved by some form of gradual process, probably, in my guess, rather similar to Darwinian natural selection. But if not Darwinian natural selection, then some kind of crane, as Dan Dennett calls it, as opposed to skyhook. You cannot suddenly conjure up out of thin air highly complex intelligence. If there's one thing we've learned, if there's one aspect of consciousness that's been raised by Darwin, it is that complexity, intelligence, everything that goes with it, has to come about by slow, gradual degrees from simple beginnings. It doesn't matter how godlike the aliens from outer space may be, they will have evolved or come about by some kind of crane, some kind of gradual, incremental, explicable process, as opposed to a skyhook.